Hello everyone, got 4 dirty jokes for you today. So a married man decided to work late to be with his young secretary, so he called his wife to make up an excuse. After work, he invited his secretary to dinner. It soon became obvious that he was going to get lucky, so the two went back to her apartment and made love for 2 hours. Afterward, the fellow went to the bathroom to straighten up for the trip home and noticed a huge hickey on his neck. He panicked, wondering what he was going to tell his wife. After the man unlocked his front door, his dog came bounding to greet him. The man thought for a moment and promptly fell to the carpet, pretending to fight off the affectionate animal. Holding his neck with one hand, he said, "Honey, look what the dog did to my neck." "Hell, that's nothing," she answered, ripping open her blouse. "Look at what he did to my breasts." So a young cowboy from Montana goes off to college. Halfway through the semester, having foolishly squandered all his money, he begins thinking about his dire situation. He hatches a plan. He calls home. "Dad," he says to his father, "you won't believe what modern education is developing. They actually have a program here in university that will teach our dog, Skippy, how to talk." "That's amazing," his dad says. "How do I get Skippy in that program?" "Just send him down here with $1,000, the son says, and I'll get him in the course." So, his father sends the dog and $1,000. About 2/3 of the way through the semester, the money again runs out. The boy calls home. "So how's Skippy doing, son?" His father asks. "Awesome, Dad. He's talking up a storm," he says. "But you just won't believe this. They've had such good results they have started to teach the animals how to read." "Read?" says his father, taken aback. "No kidding. How do we get Skippy in that program?" "Just send $2,500. I'll get him in the class." The money promptly arrives. But the young lad has a problem. At the end of the year, his father will find out the dog can neither talk nor read. So he ponders his problem again and again. He comes up with a plan. He finds the dog a new home and gives him away to a loving family. When he arrives home at the end of the year, his father is all excited. "Where's Skippy? I just can't wait to talk to him." "Dad," the boy says, "I have some grim news. Yesterday morning, just before we left to drive home, Skippy was in the living room, kicking back in the recliner, reading the Wall Street Journal, as he usually does. Then Skippy turned to me and asked, 'So, is your daddy still messing around with that little redhead who lives down the street?' The father went white, then red, then exclaimed, 'I hope you shot that lying dog before he talks that trash to your mother.' 'I sure did, Dad. That's my boy.'" So a guy goes into a bar and orders a beer. The bartender says, "That'll be $1." The guy thinks, "Man, that's cheap," but the beer turned out to be delicious. So he finishes his beer and decides to take a chance. "Bartender, I'll have your finest wine." The bartender goes through a long process of showing the bottle, opening it, aerating the wine, and pouring it into a nice glass before saying, "That'll be 50 cents. The guy can't believe it, so he thinks screw it and says, "I'll have a whole bottle of your best scotch." The bartender hands it to him and says, "Here, on the house." Curiosity finally gets the better of the guy, so he asks, "Okay, where's the owner?" The bartender replies, "Upstairs with my wife." The guy asks, "What's he doing upstairs with your wife?" And the bartender looks the man in the eye and replies, "The same thing I'm doing to his business." So one day, my wife came home with a brand new bag that looked extremely expensive. I was curious and asked her, "Honey, where did you get that new Gucci bag?" To my surprise, she said, "My boss and I bought a lottery ticket together, and we won. I used my half of the winnings to buy this bag." The next day, my wife arrived home wearing a pair of fancy sunglasses. I complimented her on her new accessory and asked where she got them. She responded, "My boss and I had some leftover winnings from our last lottery ticket, so we bought another one and won again. I used my half of the winnings to buy these sunglasses." The third day, my wife drove up to the house in a brand new Ferrari. I was shocked and asked her how she managed to get such an expensive car. She replied, "My boss and I won the lottery again. We're on a roll." At this point, I couldn't believe their incredible luck. However, my wife's constant winning streak had started to take a toll on her, and she asked me to fill up the bathtub for her so she could relax. I happily obliged but only filled it up with an inch or two of water. When she came back to see the bathtub, she was confused and said, "Honey, this is not enough water. You need to fill it up more than this." I responded, "Well, we don't want to get your lottery ticket wet now, do we?"